Lovely. Well, welcome everyone to today's session. We're really excited to have you all. Today's event will be introducing the BfE Incubation Program and welcoming the 10 startups that have been accepted into the autumn 2022 cohort of our incubation program. So today the agenda is as follows. We'll kick us off with just a very short introduction to Bridges for Enterprise. We'll talk about the incubation program that you've all been accepted to. We will introduce the selected startups, and we will also have a reflection from a startup that previously went through our incubation program, Jane from Toolkit iSkills. She'll be joining us in a pre-recorded session, so in a video format. And then we will have an opportunity to hear from Esther, who's coming from our impact research side, who will be discussing some survey forms to track our impact as an organization that we will ask the startups to fill out kindly. And then we'll follow that up with a Q&A session. So at the end of the session, you'll have an opportunity to ask any questions you have about BfE, about the incubation program, about how we can support your startup, and how this opportunity can be maximized for your perspective. So hopefully that all makes sense. But if you have any questions at all during this session, please don't hesitate to drop it in the chat, and we will make sure to also get to it at the end. Also, just as a brief introduction, so you know who you're listening to, my name is Jordan. I'm the global president here at BfE. I've been a part of BfE since 2017. So I started the chapter in New York and then have been leading the organization globally for the past 2 years, alongside some amazing people who are also on the call. So maybe Jason, if you want to introduce yourself, that would be wonderful now.
Sure, thanks everyone. We've learned so much about you, founders of the social enterprises who've admitted to our program. Maybe now it's time for you to learn a bit more about us behind the scenes. So my name is Jason, and I'm the global operations head, which means that I'm in charge here of the selection process of startups on a global level. And I have many people working with me, including Zach, who's on the call as well. Yeah, so I'm also involved in the program flow of the incubation program. So I'll be going over some important points later for you to take note. And we're really happy to have you on board.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jason. And I think with that, we'll now introduce BfE very briefly. I mean, everyone knows, hopefully, what we do, but just as a refresher, and there also may be some mentors on the call or other people, because this is a public event, that may not know exactly what we do. So Bridges for Enterprise is a UK nonprofit that operates globally. We were founded in 2015 at the University of Cambridge by some passionate students who wanted to support social entrepreneurs, creating local change in their communities across various sectors. Starting with East Africa, we then kind of expanded to work with entrepreneurs across the globe, particularly focused on emerging markets. And since 2015, we've changed our model a lot, and we've expanded quite a bit to where we are today. So now we have 5 chapters operating across the globe. These are student-run chapters operating with the support of professional mentors who volunteer their time to give back and support the students, as well as the social entrepreneurs that are a part of our incubation program. And the model is really a 3-part shared value model. So we try and create impact for not only the social enterprises that come through into our program, trying to make them investor ready and to provide real business support that can contribute to their growth, but then also trying to create impact for the students, as well as the professionals that give their time and effort into making this all possible. So that's really what we do. We are volunteer led. So everyone working for BfE is doing this on a pro bono part-time basis. And we really value the generosity that people give to this organization. It's something that I feel really special to be a part of. And it's something that, yeah, it's continuing to this day, and we hope can continue to scale even further as we expand and serve more social enterprises around the world in the years to come. So a little bit about our global footprint here. You can see that since our inception, we've serviced over 100 social enterprise startups, over 70% of which have come from sub-Saharan Africa. And most of them are typically in the food and agriculture sector. However, we also, of course, serve startups in a variety of sectors, including those in the education, healthcare, clean energy sectors too, as well as a bunch of others. It's really dependent on the particular cohort of startups that apply. So we'll get more into detail in just a moment about that. But here you can also see where our chapters are located. So as mentioned, we were founded at Cambridge, and then we expanded into New York as well as Singapore. And then more recently, we expanded into Vancouver, Canada, as well as New Delhi, India. So these chapters are typically anywhere between 20 to 50 students big, and they have students working across different teams, all of which are, dedicated to supporting these social enterprises that come through our program in various ways. So yeah, this is just a snapshot to show you. It's quite a large distributed organization. We have over 500 people, if you include the alumni, as well as the professional mentors in the organization. So it's a lot of people here, and hopefully you'll get a chance in this program to leverage some of the expertise and backgrounds that we all have to offer. So this is our theory of change model. So this is actually something that was created in 2020 when we were doing a little bit of a strategic rebrand as an organization. And we wanted to figure out how the work that we do is actually contributing to creating a more positive and sustainable future. So what we did is we gathered all the stakeholders that are part of BfE. So that includes the internal team members like Jason, myself, as well as the external stakeholders. So the social enterprises, the professional mentors, and the advisors that really, we wanted to see how everyone thinks about us creating impact. So what we did is we had a bunch of consultative workshops to come together and create this theory of change diagram, which you see here. And this just shows how what we do creates the impact that we hope to achieve. Obviously, it's not perfect. We know that there's a lot of kinks and other things we need to work out a lot to make sure it runs smoothly. However, I think it gives a good indication of how through operating the incubation program, we strive to give social enterprises business advice, join a global network, gain connections, and which ultimately result in hopefully giving them improved information systems, tools, credibility. And ultimately, we think that they can become more financially sustainable and increase their impact in that way. And likewise for students, professionals, we also have an opportunity for them to create impact through our model, as you can see on the left-hand side. So this is something to keep in mind, just to kind of show you that we take these things very seriously as a nonprofit. And we're really here to empower you in this program to make sure that you get the most out of it, so that ultimately we can create the future that we all want to see. All right. Now, I think with that, I am going to pass it off to Jason, who's going to talk in more detail about the incubation program itself.
Right, thanks very much, Jordan. So I mentioned earlier that I'm involved in the program flow of the incubation program. Okay, so these dates are not right, but so essentially the incubation program that you've been admitted to is a four-part, it's a multi-stage program that lasts between 6 to 8 months. And this means that there are kind of 3 to 4 months per engagement. And that is quite a short period of time. So time is very important. We want to emphasize that communication is also very important. And I think that when the interviewing associates at BfE have contacted you and spoken with you about your business and your business needs, they would also have emphasized that it's really important to keep channels of communication open. So student teams might need to contact you for information, and any issues should be raised as soon as you can, as soon as you know that there are issues. So yeah, so let me just go to the nitty-gritty of the program, what you can look forward to in the next 6 to 8 months. First, we begin with the consulting phase, in which, I think this will have been the subject of discussions for most of your interviews, what your consulting needs are. And then we move on after that to the finance advisory stage, which aims to help make you more investor ready. And at the same time, you can also add in simultaneously technical and or legal advisory, which are optional engagements. And at the end of this whole process, you'll enter our alumni database. And sometimes this community of alumni might have further consulting needs, and space permitting, we are happy to admit them again to the programs to work with student teams, again on further specified issues. But yeah, so that's the broad outline of what you can look forward to. So in the consulting phase, which will begin in August to October this year, you will be working with one of the student chapters that Jordan mentioned earlier. And in the finance advisory stage, which will begin in spring next year, you will also be working with the same chapter. Okay, so let's move on now to the details of the guaranteed engagements. The consulting engagement, as I mentioned, is the first one. And these engagements offer key strategic advice on very specific core business areas. But as you mentioned, time is short. So that's why the student teams have worked very closely to try to elucidate the main issues that you're facing, because I think the student teams will only be able to tackle maybe one or two major issues. So the important thing to know here is that startup founders or social entrepreneurs, as you are meant to drive the relationship with the student team. So you have business needs, and the student teams, who are your consultants, have the time and the expertise to help you research those business needs and come up with recommendations. So feel free to reach out always with your issues. And we understand, of course, also that business needs change as you go over time. So this will be a constant negotiation and dialogue with the student team, which is why it's really important to keep those channels of communication open, so that they know what can reasonably be achieved in about 3 to 4 months. So core business areas, as I mentioned here, are growth, operations, and the other issues that affect the operations of your startup, essentially. And then we move on to the finance advisory engagement, which begins in spring of the following year, which focuses more on funding opportunities and what you can do to make yourself more investor ready, mainly in the sense of having a pitch deck ready, and knowing, in some cases in the past, knowing what to say, how to say it, how to approach people when you look for funding. Okay, so let's move on now to the 2 opt-in engagements. And if you have any questions regarding all this information, feel free to leave them in the chat or ask it at the end of the session. But you can also find all this information in the terms of agreement that you have recently signed. So it should be there, and it also should be on our website. But yeah, so just to make things clearer, hopefully, to you now. These 2 opt-in engagements, the legal advisory and technical advisory, are not offered by all the student chapters. But if your team needs to engage us in these areas, we will make that option available to you. So the legal advisory, it's about providing legal research, but not about providing legal advice, because the students that are working with you are not registered or accredited lawyers, so they cannot be providing legal advice, although they can provide some legal research into key issues that you're facing. For example, when you're looking to enter a new market, and if there are any risks, legal risks, or anything like that, or anything to do with intellectual property registration, and there are risks involved legally. As for the technical advisory, this is a somewhat more customizable opt-in function, in which the student teams will help you either research roadmaps for implementing new technical strategies, or they will help you design improvements on existing prototypes. What this means is that, like much of what BfE does, BfE is meant to help you optimize and improve on what you already have in mind, rather than starting something completely new. because as I mentioned earlier, this set of engagements is really meant to be startup driven. It's meant to be led by you, the founder of your social enterprise, to answer questions that you need answering in order to improve your business. So bearing that in mind, once the engagements end, whatever we leave you with has to be actionable, usable, and something that you can maintain in the future, which is why we don't design anything from scratch in this area. Okay, so yeah, I think this is all about the engagements. The main point is that there are two major ones that you'll be going through and two that you can opt into. We ask that, given that our student consultants and mentors and professionals are giving their time and energy into this quite intensive set of engagements, we ask that you also commit your time and energy as well to working with the students and giving them the information that they need in order to help you answer the questions that you need answered. Okay, shall we move on? Yeah, so this set of email addresses can, I think, also be found in terms of agreement that you have signed, and these are the separate email for the separate engagements that you can reach out to if you have any problems during any of the engagements. But if you have any problems in general, if you're facing any issues or anything like that, apart from the incubation team or the team that you'll be working with at the time, you can also feel free to reach out to Jordan or me or anyone that you've received the emails from today. And we will help you find a solution, or at least point you in the right direction to help you find a solution.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Jason. I think now is the time where I'm most excited to introduce all of the startups that we've accepted. So really, really glad to have so many of you here. I think for this, we will go around the room and I'll just kind of call on people as they appear on this slide, if that works for everyone. So maybe we'll start in kind of clockwise fashion with Bamboo Hay, if Mark is on the line from the Philippines. And if not, we'll just go right next. I don't know if he is, actually. No problem. I don't know if Ryan is here from Nano Labs. Not so sure. So basically what we're doing is we're just going to have everyone introduce their business, talk for a minute or two, maybe give a very brief pitch about what you do so that everyone can know who else has been accepted into the program. Great. I don't think Ryan is here, unfortunately, but that's not a problem. So next we'll move on to Evol. So that's Jolly from Vietnam. Are you here? I think I saw you in the chat, right?
Yes.
Amazing. Hi, welcome.
Hi, John. Hi, Jason, and everyone. I'm happy to be the first one to introduce about my social enterprise. So basically, that's Evol Vietnam. It's a social enterprise that we started 2018, and with the main purpose of raising awareness of young people around the urban area of reducing stakeholder plastic issues in the ocean. And then we do that one through our international partnership and local participation. And during the COVID time that we implemented two initiatives. The first one is called One Person, One Eco Brick, and the second one is Plastic Evolved. And this one that we implement in Vietnam and also in ASEAN region, which is in Vietnam, Thailand, and in Indonesia. Yeah, and so besides that, we combine this initiative and the community projects that we make the house and the school for the needed community and the family by our waste, which is eco bricks. So far that we built one house for the family. They are like Orange Asian family, and another school in disadvantaged village in Mekong Delta area to support over 400 students there by our eco-bricks, which is our plastic waste. And we also successfully implemented our project, like I mentioned before, that's Plastic Evolve in Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia. Yeah, and in this program that we are looking for, we want to focus on our initiative that we continue our pilot projects, which is now we call this a tiny public house. For this initiative that we want to bring our initiative in the next level, that we build a house, the tiny house by our plastic waste, and this is affordable house for the needy community and especially for young people. And we have the ambition that we bring this initiative not only in Vietnam but in the ASEAN region, and of course is that we can expand to the other countries around the world. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jolly. I really appreciate the intro. Yeah, so great to have you here and introduce your startup. We're really looking forward to working with you. Next, we'll move on to Olifanto from Chindatsi.
Hi, good morning, everyone, or afternoon, as the case may be. My name is Olufunto Borofis, and I'm the founder and CEO of Chindatsi, which is a waste collection and recycling company based out of Abuja, Nigeria. We've been in inception since 2015, and since that time, we've been able to divert over 5 million kilograms of waste from landfills. I think similar to what Jolly is doing in Vietnam, which I'm excited to hear about. We're trying to mop up waste from the environment as well, and make sure that waste doesn't end up in our oceans and in our landfills. We actually currently turn predominantly plastic waste, even though we collect other recyclable materials like paper, cartons, pure water sachet, into semi-processed raw materials for manufacturers in not only the plastic sector, but also food and beverage sector, construction sector, and the like. But we're trying to move towards actually the manufacturing of household products ourselves. So instead of being a feeder, we want to actually start manufacturing household products like buckets and bowls, as well as brooms, to somewhat stem the tide of importation from China, right? And actually start doing it in country, but also hopefully creating more jobs. And we believe that with the signing of the Africa Free Trade Agreement, some of these products can even be sold in West Africa for cheaper. We're also looking to, hopefully with this program, which we're very excited about being accepted, and again, thank you so much, being able to also franchise our cash for trash recycling hubs, which are hubs that are built in communities where people can actually, they don't have to go too far to be able to exchange their waste for cash or incentives, but can even go within their communities and earn money that way. We currently have 11 hubs, and we're looking to hopefully take it national, and maybe even in West Africa. So we're looking at a franchise model. And then thirdly, one of the things that we've been very innovative about doing, or some of the things we've been successful at doing, is coming up with innovative solutions to not only mop up waste in our environment, but to sort of impact our community. So one of them, like I mentioned, is a cash for trash, where people are actually even able to open bank accounts with their waste. We have something called Bottles for Books, where we've been able to send over 1,000 children to school, and they're able to pay their school fees with waste. We have something called the Women Recyclers Economic Initiative, which we just launched now. But we're looking to hopefully also take that national. We're working with FMCGs like Coca-Cola, Nestle, where a portion of the funds that our women recyclers earn can be used to buy discounted goods that they can then start retail businesses in front of their homes and hopefully eventually expand. So that's Chindatsi in a nutshell. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, and we look forward to doing a lot more. Thank you.
That was so wonderful. Thank you, Olifanto. Really amazing to hear about the strong impact you've been able to create and all the initiatives you have going on. We're really excited to have you in the program, and look forward to working with you. Next, we'll move on to Charles from Parker's Mobile Clinic, if you're here.
Okay. Good day, everyone. I'm Dr. Charles Sume from Nigeria. I'm the founder of Parker's Mobile Clinic. So Parker's Mobile Clinic, in short form, PMC 360, is a health social enterprise which deliver medical outreach and public health solutions, and also community health insurance services for vulnerables and people living in rural communities in Eastern Nigeria. So basically, we are solving the problem of poor access to basic healthcare services for vulnerables, such as the elderly, the disabled, chronically ill, and internally displaced people. So basically, our solution is a mobile clinic medical outreach solution and a community contributory health insurance system, whereby individuals living in a community can contribute as little as $5 every month, which is crowdsourced and used to purchase drugs and other health items, and then sponsored into a health center for healthcare access for people living in a particular community. So we believe that we use an affordable means to deliver healthcare service to people who ordinarily cannot get them. So basically, we generate fund through a B2B model and a B2C. By B2B, we partner with donor agencies and other funders to execute and implement health interventions through our medical outreach solutions. And also by B2C, we use our community contributory health insurance to get people who live in a community to contribute as little as $5, like I mentioned, so that they can have access to health services in the permanent health center in their community. So we are basically a team of medical doctors, business executives, and tech experts. And we have been in business for like 2 years now, generating about $15,000 in profit, and raising approximately $20,000 in external fund. And we have impacted positively on the lives of about 12,000 people, all in Eastern Nigeria. So in the coming years, we hope to expand to other parts of Nigeria. We hope that this program will enable us to grow and get the necessary expertise and knowledge which we need in terms of fundraising and also operations. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Charles. I really appreciate it. And congrats on all the success so far. And again, as you can see, we have a variety of sectors here. So it's really amazing to see the impact that's being created across different countries and different sectors. So thank you. So next we'll move on to Nathaniel from Soundvisage.
Hello, everyone. Good day. I'm Dr. Nathaniel, co-founder and CEO of Soundvisage. So Soundvisage is a social for-profit health technology company here in Nigeria. The mission is to bring health advancement and growth through innovation. So to BfE, the project we're introducing is called the Labulance. And I'm super excited to meet Dr. Ume. I see that we're doing very similar and well-needed work. So the Labulance is a mobile laboratory logistics unit, which is aimed at supporting the activities of traditional birth attendants in underserved areas of Nigeria. So the problem we're trying to solve is to lower maternal mortality, which is partly due to the rising or worsening doctor-to-patient ratio in Nigeria as a result of massive brain drain of doctors leaving the shores of the country in search of greener pastures, leaving community health workers and traditional birth attendants with doing more than they've been trained to do. So the solution that we're coming up with is a modified Tuk, which has the capabilities of conducting basic laboratory investigations and tests, as well as to transport blood samples and vaccines using a solar-powered refrigerating system. So the challenges that we have at this time are fourfold. We want to optimize our business model. We want to also ensure that our technical designs are sustainable. We also need to, we seek for creative revenue streams, so we're super excited to be at BfE. I'm happy to meet everyone and grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nathaniel, for the explanation and for all the impact you've created so far. I'm excited for you to connect with Dr. Charles as well. As you can see, yeah, I think it's a really well-crafted cohort. So really excited to welcome you all. And maybe next we'll move on to Mark Akparibo from Tiliberi, if you're here.
Yes, thanks so much, Jordan, and good afternoon to everyone from Northern Ghana. So my name is Mark. I am founder at Tiliberi Green Agro Farms. And the key issue we really want to tackle at Tiliberi Green Agro Farms is the issue around climate change, and especially on its impacts in terms of rainfall and water for smallholder forest and farm producers. So what we provide at Tiliberi Green Agro Farms is to provide small solar-powered irrigation systems that support smallholder forest and farm producers to be able to produce year-round, that is moving away from the over-dependence on rain-fed agriculture to a more year-round production that takes advantage of the cheaper options that solar energy provides. And so what we have leveraged on is innovative village savings and loan schemes that are run by smallholder forest and farm producers here in Northern Ghana, particularly in the Upper East region, and building on that to provide the services around small solar-powered irrigation systems that can assist, especially in production of integrated agroforestry systems, integrating fruits and vegetable products for the market, and also, of course, for household consumption. So our major catch at the moment is how we provide these systems, supporting a cluster of smallholder farmers. So what we do is to provide the boreholes and then the irrigation systems that would support production throughout the year. And then farmers who are also members of the Village Savings and Loans Associations are plugged in, maximum of about 50 farmers at a cluster. We're working now in up to 5 clusters in the Upper East region. And our hope is to expand to other parts of Northern Ghana, that is the Savannah Ecological Zone of the country, over the next 2 to 3 years. And we are hoping that this very exciting involvement with the program through the Bridging Enterprises program will provide us a bigger opportunity to be able to redefine how our market options are in terms of the solar powered irrigation systems, and also, of course, looking at catalyzing the number of farmers that we have, up to about 500 farmers we are dealing with since 2019, to do an aggregation of these products for the off-takers at the higher market end. We're excited to be on board, and we are hopeful that this journey will provide us an opportunity to be able to redefine how we do our business and also expand our business moving forward. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you for the introduction, Mark. And yeah, it's great to have you as a part of this cohort. We're really as well excited to work with you and to tackle some of the challenges you mentioned and to hopefully help your business grow. So next, we'll move on to the 3 startups we've selected from Uganda. I don't know if George is on the call from Wella, Uganda. I'm not sure I see him, but if you are here, George, you can speak up. Otherwise, I will move on to Mark from Namca Farmers Market. I think I saw earlier, but I see in his video screen that he's not there at the moment, so I don't know. Maybe he stepped away from his computer. But in any case, if he does come back,
Well, I
Mark.
think he's back.
I am back.
Okay, wonderful. Hi, Mark. Welcome.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Jordan, so much. Yes, I'm Mark Matov from Uganda, and I'm the founder and CEO of Namca Farmers Market, which is a mobile-based food distribution and logistics platform that is connecting rural smallholder farmers with urban food retailers in a bid to create an efficient, transparent, and formal agri-food marketplace. The inefficient food supply chain in the country and Africa generally sees farmers getting poor and unpredictable prices that do not allow them growth. And it's a wasteful disease for so many people. So the food retailers and wholesalers end up paying higher prices after brokers have taken off their cuts. And this is further reflected in food inflation for consumers in urban areas. So these urban dwellers like me and you are paying high price points, often 200% on average, for food that is even hardly fresh from the retailers. So the call for Namca Farmers Market is to shorten the food supply chain and take out all the intermediaries that are dishonest, so expensive and heartless. So the food goes to where it is needed and be paid for every day. And we do that thanks to technology. And we can achieve that by operating a mobile-based food distribution logistics platform where we see farmers being able to send a cost-free SMS announcing what they have for sale every day. And as they do that, the people trading in food like the greengrocers, hotels, restaurants can also order from the farmers. And then as Namca Farmers Market, we do the matchmaking and the physical delivery of the food from the farm gate to where it is needed within 24 hours and at a minimal charge. So that's for Namca Farmers Market. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark, for introducing yourself, and welcome again to the cohort. Yeah, lastly, we have Elvis, who is a dear friend to BfE. Actually, Elvis ran Pearl, or I don't know if he still runs Pearl Entrepreneurs Academy, which was recently accepted, and we worked with his startup before, and now he's joining us again through Ismart, which is his new company. So Elvis, are you on the call? I know you said you were traveling by car, so I'm not sure if you're able to speak now and introduce yourself.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Jordan, for that. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Elvis Kadama from Uganda, founder and CEO at Ismart Africa, which is a technology-based social enterprise that is empowering smallholder farmers with high quality on-off lands. And here we are solving a problem of low agricultural production and productivity among smallholder farmers. How we are doing it, we are working with farmers in village savings groups and farmers cooperatives to make sure that we help them solve their problems that they are facing, which limits their increased agricultural production and productivity. So how we do it, we have platforms like telefarming, which is an offline, and here we work with farmers through phone calls, and they get agricultural consultancy and other agricultural services that they need. Then you also have a web application which enables them order farm inputs online, and once we receive the order, we get their products delivered. How to reach them? We are working with agripreneurs at village level. These act as our ambassadors, and they are equipped with smartphones, because we know not every farmer is connected to internet and have access to smartphones, and also even the technology itself, they don't understand it. So these agripreneurs, they help us to disseminate information, train our farmers, and they get them connected to our agricultural experts. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Elvis. Really appreciate it. And that about rounds us out. I don't believe the founders from Bambuhe and Nano Labs are here with us today. I know it's a bit late in the evening in Southeast Asia, but that about does it. So thank you once again, everyone, for introducing yourselves and your businesses. As mentioned previously, we're really excited to kick this off and begin working with you all. I think it's amazing to see the diversity of sectors, the diversity of countries that you guys are coming from and creating impact in. And I'm excited for you all to introduce yourselves to one another and hopefully find some synergies. There were many challenges that you mentioned that you're all kind of going through at the same time as early stage social enterprises. And I think it's going to be nice for you all to share learnings with one another and to see if there's any ways you can come together and support each other on this journey. So thank you very much. And next, we actually have a video we wanted to play, which is from the last cohort welcome event we hosted in the spring. And we have a social enterprise who has been a part of our incubation program, discussing what it's like, and also to share some of her insights on how she gained things from the experience. And we think it would be helpful for the entrepreneurs coming into the program to at least get a snippet so that you can understand, what the experience has been like for someone who's gone through it. So I'll play this video. It's about 10 minutes long. So bear with me. Hopefully you can hear the sound okay. And yeah, this hopefully should work. And then following this, we will have Esther discuss very briefly about impact research, as mentioned, and then we'll have an opportunity for Q&A. So as you're going through this, hopefully you've been thinking about some questions you want to ask. We'll be happy to address those towards the end. Okay, thank you all.
Jordan, I don't think I can hear anything.
Maybe it's because I was on mute. Just give a thumbs up, Jason, if you can hear it now. No, it's still having issues. Okay.
Yeah, maybe the volume on the YouTube. Oh.
Yeah, I can try to put the volume a bit higher. Is it working now? No? Okay. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just go directly to the YouTube, reshare my screen and play it that way, if that works. Great. So let me just stop sharing for a second. Sorry for all the technical difficulties here, guys. Sometimes this works out perfectly, other times it doesn't. So please bear with me. Great. Okay, so now I'm gonna reshare my screen here. Hopefully this works better. No, it's still not working, Jason?
No, I think you have to share audio as well, right?
Yeah, but there's no way to share audio on it's only share screen and the audio should automatically be there. But in any case, it's pre-recorded. So if it doesn't work now, we can forward it and you guys can all watch it afterwards.
Let me try.
Yeah, that works too.
I think you have to enable.
You should be co-host. So
Okay.
Yeah. We'll move on now on the next slide to introduce a very exciting portion of today's event, which is a panel with Jane, the founder and director of Toolkit iSkills. Toolkit iSkills is a startup that's currently in our incubation program. And so for all the founders, you'll get a chance to hear about their business and what it's been like actually being part of the program. And so moderating today's panel, we have Jill Robredo from our New York chapter. So I'll hand things over to Jill, if you don't mind introducing yourself and asking some questions to Jane.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Jordan. And hello, everyone. Congrats on being accepted to BfE's Incubation Program. So I'm Jill Robredo. I was the consulting director for BfE New York last semester, and we had the honor to work with Jane, which is also here in the call. So she's the founder of Toolkit iSkills. So just a brief background on Toolkit iSkills. They're a Kenyan-based social enterprise, which was founded in 2014 with the goal of disrupting youth unemployment. So they train the vulnerable youth and women and certify skills in different pillars. So they have the different pillars were organic farming, construction, online jobs, and digital skills, which we worked on last semester. So for our deliverables for Toolkit last semester, we worked on helping them build up a pitch deck for potential partners for their online skills and online jobs and digital skills pillar, and also helping them with grant writing. So yeah, Jane can talk a bit more about that later. So Jane, if you could unmute yourself and give us like a quick overview of what Toolkit is and what you consider its social impact aspect to be.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jill. And thank you so much to the BfE team. I'm really excited to listen to all these other entrepreneurs who have given a snapshot of the great work they're doing from India, Nigeria, and I'm also and Zimbabwe. And I'm also very happy to see quite a number of young Kenyans who are in such key sectors. So congrats to all those new social enterprises. And Jill, let me start by saying that I was so impressed by you burning beyond the midnight oil over Christmas to get us our final engagement documents. You will be very happy to hear that the whole of last week, we actually used the very good pitch deck you gave us for online jobs, and we have done pitch decks for the other pillars. So it's been an exciting time during the break and in the first week of January. So to the BfE team and to the fellow social entrepreneurs on this call, I just want to give a short introduction. Jill has done justice about what we do, but essentially the Toolkit iSkills exists for one purpose, preventing or rolling back importation of skilled labor into Africa, because there is an employment crisis among youth in Africa in key sectors. And we are in those key sectors that Jill has mentioned. The only other one that we split out of construction because of its of the overwhelming need is renewable energy, especially skills for solar installers. So for the Toolkit iSkills, we focus on asking ourselves, why is Africa with all the growth importing skilled labor? Is it because the youth have not been trained, have not been given access to the right skill sets? And we find that there has been an overwhelming emphasis on academic mobility to universities, and that leaves millions of youth who don't transition from primary school to secondary school, or from secondary school to tertiary institutions. So those are the youth we target, and we are not trying to put them into C-suite to do any C-suite jobs. We are targeting them to be part of the workforce that will power the continent, that will build the continent, and that they can be part and parcel of this immense growth that Africa is currently experiencing. So we have skilled welders to international certification that gives them access to jobs with investors who are building in the continent, because as many of you may know, a lot of the over 60% of Africa's workforce is in the informal sector, where skills are gained in the informal sector, not assessed, not recognized, not certified, and that creates a barrier for them to be able to access jobs in the formal sector, especially when they're dealing with international investors who are either building railways, airports, dams, or other infrastructure. and they are obliged by the laws of their countries to only work with certified workforce. So that's the space we are in. And it has been an exciting journey with Jill. So back to you, Jill and Tim.
Yeah, great. Thank you for the great introduction, Jane. I guess we could head on to the few questions that we have for you for this panel. So I think the second question which would be, I think you touched on this earlier about what we kind of did, but what were the main highlights or the most actionable insights that the BfE team or like our team has provided you that you would like to share with everyone in this call?
Yeah. So I think for the entrepreneurs who have joined the program this year, what I would like to share is that the BfE team is an exciting, very, very talented, very swift, very responsive team in terms of trying to understand a social enterprise and see how to support that social enterprise to scale. So in our case, as the Toolkit iSkills, one of the things that they helped us with that was really good was to look at what is the profile. When we've skilled the youth, how do they present themselves to the world? And we had a profile, but BfE looked at it, repackaged it, refined it, and from the aesthetics to the content, that changed, and we now have a new profile that is really useful, and I think it will look very good for the youth once they put it even on LinkedIn, because then that gives them a profile and an access they didn't have before. The other actionable insight really was guiding us in terms of pitch deck. So last week on Monday, when we had our first day of the year this year, we were joking that we didn't even understand this pitch deck business when we are asked, like, what is your pitch deck? But BfE took one of our pillars, which is giving young women access to online jobs, to digital skills for online jobs. And they prepared for us a pitch deck that went from what is Toolkit, why do we exist, which partners should we approach for that particular pillar. So they profiled like 6 companies, that international companies we should partner with. And they also really even give us the areas of collaboration with those companies. So they assessed each and they were able to give very clear and concrete advice on where the synergies are between the Toolkit iSkills and those companies. They also helped us a lot in terms of how are we perceived. And I think one of the ways they explained to us, they gave us very good sound advice on how do we package our message? How are we understood? Because we are multifaceted in what we are doing. So their advice, I remember, was our mandate could either be oversimplified or misunderstood. So they asked us to refine that. So we are working with a communication expert to be able to refine that. So everything we got was practical, pragmatic, and something ready to use. So that's what I would say for us was really, really beneficial with this engagement.
That's great to hear, Jane. And I think, are there any steps that you would recommend to the newly accepted cohort that they can do to prepare for like the engagement? Yes,
I think to the new cohorts, I would suggest that you work with your lead director. Jill was great together with the team that she worked with. But I think it will be very helpful right from the start for the new entrepreneurs who have joined the program to understand the the wealth of experience and expertise that the students bring. Because in BfE, what we could find, you had some who are very good in marketing, some who are very good in drafting short summaries, some who are very good in research. Like even for the companies they paired us up with, they did the research. So I think it would be important for the new social entrepreneurs to take a bit of time and understand the resource that is at their service from BfE. I think that would help them a lot in being able to commit the time. The other one is that BfE is intensive, and it's important that you are responsive, you are open, and you can share your documents, your financials, when they request for additional information, we found the program very swift and responsive. And for a social enterprise to benefit, they have to be equally swift and responsive. So my advice would be like, just take time and provide the information. And I even forgot to mention that you did a very good projection of our financials per pillar. So that was also another quite like a very good analysis. So I would say that to all the new social enterprises, they have an exciting time ahead. And if they give it their attention and time, I think it will be a success like it's been for us.
Thank you, Jane. And I think just like last question in my end, what do you wish you knew before beginning the BfE engagement that you know now? I think you touched on this a bit earlier, but if you could expound on that.
Yeah, so I think what we wished we knew before, not that we wished we knew before, we already had that information because the information is shared by BfE. But I think being a free service to social enterprises, we felt a bit shy. We felt as if we would be demanding too much. So, and really the willingness of the BfE team to study, to research, to support, to really assist us in scaling our impact was overwhelming. So to the social enterprises, don't be shy to ask. These guys are easy, they are easy to talk to, don't even worry about the time difference, they are flexible. So please don't feel shy to ask. When we looked at the pitch deck, we were going through it last week and we thought, if we had been asked to pay an international consultant to get us to this, we could not afford as a social enterprise in the Global South. So this was really a very, very precious engagement. We value it a lot. And I think for the new social entrepreneurs, that our advice would be, don't feel shy, ask. You have a great team to work with from BfE.
Perfect. Thank you, Jason, for showing the video. I realize we're at the top of the hour, so we'll try and go quickly through the rest of the session, but hopefully that was beneficial for all the entrepreneurs on the call to hear from Jane and to understand some of the benefits that she got from the program itself. And yeah, we will now, in the interest of time, turn it over to Esther from BfE to talk very briefly about the Impact Research Division and some surveys that she'll be sending around to you all. And then following that, we'll have some time for Q&A. I know that we're at the hour, so if anyone does need to drop, there's no hard feelings. You can always email us, ask us questions then, but we will be able to stay on for 10 minutes or so to be able to answer your questions. So with that, Esther, if you want to go ahead and speak.
Right, thanks, Jordan, and really nice to meet all of you here today. It was super inspiring to hear about all of your businesses. Yeah, so I'm Esther. I'm part of the Impact Research team, and I'll be reaching out to you guys really, really soon regarding these two surveys that will need your help to fill in. So just a bit of background, the first survey would be the pre-engagement survey. So this will be due by July 24th, and we would like to collect this information before you start your engagement with BfE. So this will just help us to understand a bit about where your startup is at right now, how confident you are in approaching the running of your business and any challenges that you face. So this will help us to understand also, once we complete the BfE program, how our program has supported you. Right. And for the second survey, it's the Impact Wheel survey. So your cohort will actually be the first cohort where we will start collecting this data. So we will really, really appreciate your help on this. So we're actually collecting the survey along the 4 main themes, which we have aligned with the UN SDGs, along the lines of poverty alleviation, job creation, female empowerment, as well as climate resilience. So while this also helps us to collect data, it actually helps you in a way, because what we're seeing is that investors are increasingly looking at impact measurement as a way to make their investment decision. And it's also important for your startup to start quantifying how your startup contributes to the communities and the environment around you. So we're really seeking your help in filling in this survey, and we'll also let you know some of the details that we'll require. Yeah, I think that will be all from me.
Great, thank you, Esther. Just to add on to what she said, we've designed the surveys intentionally so that they're not burdensome for you all. We know as social enterprises, you have a million things on your mind and a lot of surveys probably to fill out. So please just know that we did intentionally design them in a way that hopefully it's not burdensome. So really appreciate your cooperation with it. We'll be sending around the surveys following this session. Thank you, Esther. So with that, we will move on to the Q&A session. So if anyone has questions, they can feel free to raise their hand on Zoom. I think there's a virtual hand option, or type in your question on the chat. We'll be happy to address it there. Awesome. I see Olafonto has a question. So yeah, feel free to unmute and ask it.
Thank you, Jordan. I just wanted to find out, with regards to consultancy, one of the things we're looking, we potentially would like support with from the legal side would be, trying to maybe come up with a franchise model. And then on the technical side, if we have like apps, like collection apps that we want help with, are those within the scope of what the chapters or whoever will be our consultants can support us with, or is that outside the scope?
So I think, oh, so sorry, Jordan, if I can answer that question.
Yeah, of course.
For the technical advisory, we can support engagements that improve or optimize existing things. So if the app exists already, it will be within the scope. But of course, this is also up for discussion with the student team in question, who will then, decide what is feasible and what's not feasible for them. But please do make very clear what you specifically need, so that so that there can be a kind of dialogue and we can come to a mutually beneficial agreement. For the legal side, that's also similar. So it's research, it's not legal advice, because we can't be liable because they are not qualified lawyers, essentially, but they are law students. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I see Nathaniel raised his hand second. So do you want to unmute and ask that?
Yes, please. Okay, so my question is still in line with the technical advisory. I'd like to know how soon, because I see that the technical advisory is kind of more flexible compared to the other aspects. So how soon can that be engaged? Thank you.
Good question. So technical advisory has a different timeline compared to the others that I mentioned. The person in charge, who's called Albert, will be sending around a survey to get interest among all of us here, the cohort here, of what you need or what you would like to do for technical advisory. So that's actually quite fortunate because they only accept projects once a year, and it is around this period that they're accepting projects. And the projects can run for one cohort length, i.e. 3 to 4 months, or it can even run 6 to 8 months, depending on the need. So they are more flexible that way. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. It does. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nathaniel. We'll now I see Jolly has a question as well.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really good that you can hear Jane to get an overview of what she has been in this program before. And so come up to my mind, there's some questions, some concerns. So the first one that there's 2 options of legal and technical, right? So, and you also mentioned in the email that we can choose both of them at the same time or either of them, right? So for now that we focus on technical things, but during like 6 to 8 months that we can change our mind, or because it depends our development of our projects and all, and stuff. So it's possible for us to change the mind, or you have the kind of how to say that your team, there's experts there that can consider which one that you want us should be focused on this time during 6 or 8 months. And the second concern is that there is also mentioned in the email that for the report that the students will do with us, right? And they mainly they mainly do the report, but do we to like add in anything else, or we just like keep documents and they will follow us during the 6 or 8 months and do the report by themselves? Yeah.
Okay, so maybe let me answer the first question first about whether you can do technical and legal simultaneously. That really depends. I should say that when you begin a project, so the first thing is that different teams handle different engagements. So they could do it simultaneously. But then the other thing, and another thing to note is that when you start a project, the end date will also be agreed on, or the rough end date. So you're not going to be able just to switch out of the project halfway through if you feel like it's not worth your time, I think. So that's another thing to consider, because the students are also working on something that they have been promised to work on. They want to make sure that they have an impact and to complete the project. So you wouldn't be able just to end it halfway or 3/4 of the way. And it wouldn't be very useful for your team either, if that were to happen. And as for whether you can do it simultaneously, you could. The only thing is that, given what Jane mentioned about how intensive the communications can be for one engagement, I would strongly recommend you don't do more than 2 at the same time, because you have your own social enterprise to run, and the students who are doing the research are very likely to be asking you a lot of questions and asking a lot of data from you so they can perform analyses and cross-check the analysis with research that they do on other channels. So that's something that you have to kind of balance out as well. And yeah, so we are piloting a scheme to help our cohort members work out when would be the most practicable for them to do certain things. But this is still in the pilot scheme, so we're not rolling it out fully yet. But if there are any issues, you can write to me and I'll help you to resolve when or kind of chart out when might be most appropriate. But the main thing to know is that you have to let us know that you want to opt in. So we can start making arrangements.
And the second concern is about a report.
Oh yes, the report. Okay, so I'm not sure. Do you mean like the pitch deck?
Yeah, in the email that you mentioned, that is the report. I thought this is the report, the end of our incubation program. I guess.
Oh, you mean like the final deliverables for the program?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is something that is agreed on between you and the student consulting teams. The report is not something that's standardized, it's something that's customized to your needs. So if you need to answer specific business questions, then those business questions will be answered in the final report that they provide to you. And it may take on various forms. It might be a roadmap, it might be suggestions for whom to partner, or different revenue streams possibly to take up. I mean, it will change depending on your business needs.
It's like the one that Jane mentioned, like they give the pitch deck and then connect and advise some connection with other companies and stuff.
Yeah.
Or everything combined in the report, you mean?
So each engagement will end with a set of deliverables, with a set of written things that you will receive from the student team.
Sure.
And that So what Jane was speaking about, I think, was related to finance advisory. Each engagement will have different kinds of end products, depending on what you need.
Understood. Yeah. So I would meet the students in advance, or
yes,
like
yes.
they just come in and they're from like different college, different universities.
So at this moment, we are we are doing the matching process between startups like yourselves and which chapter will be involved in taking on your project.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Maybe just something to add off of what Jason said. Our program is very flexible to your needs, and we don't have a structured curriculum like other accelerator or incubator programs you might have come across. So that's intentional. So we want to make sure we're giving you the support that you need, and it's driven by you as opposed to this standardized curriculum where some sessions might not be really relevant for your business at that time. So that's that's by design. So the reports that you'll be receiving from the students will hopefully be immediately beneficial for your business because you'll be the ones driving them, ideally. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. Does anyone else have questions? If not, we'll just end the session. Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan and everyone.
Yeah, of course. You're welcome. I think with that, we'll wrap things up. So thank you all once again for joining us and for staying a bit past the hour. We're sorry we ran over. We had some technical issues. But again, really excited to welcome you to this cohort and for you to kick off your journey here with BfE. And I put my email as well as Jason's email in the chat in case you ever want to reach out to us. We're available. You will be hearing from us very soon. I'll send around a recap email with the recording of the session and the impact research surveys that Esther mentioned. And with that, thank you and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. So appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye. Take care.
Nice to meet everybody. Thank you.